Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Trap, a Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host, Terry, and today doing a recap of our Game 2 of the preseason against the New York Giants. And this is going to be the first three quarters just about. Once again, that's about the time that I'm looking at. And so, especially with tonight where most of our starters, if any, didn't really start. And so we started off with our backups, and there we go. So real quick, if you didn't know, so Matt Nagy and the coaching staff had kind of a live game simulation, as they call it, and people were kind of pumping it up as the first of its kind. But anyway, they brought in a lot of stuff, a lot of the lights and the music, and tried to simulate a full game. And the starters actually went, full go. And so because of that, that kind of rolled into this preseason game where none of the starters really played. And so that's kind of the background on that. And so tonight, even though the Giants had some of their ones, mostly on defense, offensive line, stuff like that, we had our backups in. And so overall, again, through three quarters, I think there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of little things to talk about. One of the things that jumps out to me is that I've had a switch in my worry. I think my worry defensively was in the secondary. As I talked about before, Kyle Fuller, pretty good. Of course, we know what he's put down and hope to continue to see that. Prince Amukamara, if I had to name like a weak link or the weakest one on the team or the defense, it would probably be him. But still, I think solid in the system, but older, not as fast. And so I was wondering what we could have behind them, especially after Bryce Callahan left. I'm not sure still what Buster Skrine can do. And then Clint Dix placing Adrian Amos, not really sure exactly what we'll get there. But I will say through two preseason games, I got a little more optimism. I think Duke Shelley was one of the guys I named that I would be watching a close eye on. I really liked what I saw in the first game. In the second game, I really like it too. Now, he's a slot corner. I think if you watch, you saw some good plays. One of the things I mentioned in the first game, he's not afraid to come up and hit and play the run. And that's a huge thing in the slot. A lot of people talk about covering in space, which is big. But in the slot, you got to be a part of the run because you can't play a nickel package and give up the run game. And so you got to have players that can also play the run. So he's not afraid to run up and make a hit. But you did see on the touchdown in the first quarter that he is a smaller dude. He's not built big. And so when you talk about playing on the outside, when you talk about playing against bigger receivers and having a situation where it's just him and the receiver in daylight, that's a scary proposition. Now in slot, they have a two-way go, but either way, you got defense. You got defense to your left and to your right. And so if he gets in a situation where he's able to wrap up a receiver or something, with our starters, they can rally. But you get a situation on the outside, that's not the case. So I don't know. I know he got reps at the outside, but I don't know how viable he is as an outside corner. He's feisty. He'll compete. He's athletic. But I just don't know if that'll ever be a spot. So in the slot, I really like him, though, still. Then you got Michael Joseph. I think he's athletic. And really, that's what we're talking about, the speed and athleticism. You hope the coaches can teach the fundamentals and, the IQ part of it. But the speed is what we're lacking as far as our starters. And so I like Michael Joseph. And then Franklin as well, athletic, long corners. They can run, they can press. And they're not the best right now. But I do like kind of what we have behind our starters. And then, of course, Sheriff McManus, he's just really been a Swiss Army knife and all that. So I know Clifton Duck made the big play. And I guess that's my next point. So I won't get too excited over some big plays. Like Clifton Duck made a big interception on the return, showed you he's not really a speedster. You have Walters, who's maybe 6 feet on the edge. He had a strip of Daniel Jones. And look, I like the big plays in the preseason. I like the tenacity. Look, I like that we go out and get hard-nosed guys that want to play and want to prove something and want to play hard. Overall, though, do I think it's going to make a big difference? Any of these people are going to make like the difference in our season? I don't think so. I like that we went and got guys that compete, but I don't think like him stripping Daniel Jones is, a sign of anything. I don't think Clifton Duck with that nice diving interception is a sign of anything. The fact is they both got big holes in their game, and they're going against, second stringers. And so, I like, again, the tenacity. Hopefully, if they're on the team, they'll be contributing on special teams because Super Bowl winning team has to have strong special teams. So I like all that, but I'm not like jumping out of my seat. I mean, it's nice to see in the preseason because that's the only action we got, but I'm not jumping out of my seat. The worry that I now have that I didn't have is on the D-line. I mean, we know Akeem Hicks. Look, if you got a guy like Akeem Hicks that is strong as he is, but has a good IQ and tenacity, that can make a difference on the D-line. He's a difference maker. Then you throw in a Pro Bowl type nose tackle like Eddie Goldman, who is not only steady Eddie, which no pun intended, at his job, but can really be a top-notch nose tackle. That is a huge burden against a D-line or against an offense that has to then deal with 2 fast linebackers. But then you throw in Bilal Nichols, who is just as strong and as steady, and you really got issues with our starting unit. So I have no problems there. But then you look after them, and you look at the Giants tonight, and they are gashing us against the run. That's one of the things I talked about in 3-4 that I was worried about. That I was worried about when John Fox was here, but we did better, of course, with Khalil Mack, is that the ability to run against us up the gut. And, of course, not just Khalil Mack, but Roquan Smith as well. And so when we got these players, we played a lot better against the run. We were able to collapse a lot more. And Bilal Nichols helps that as well. But when you look at our backups, you see the same issues. Look, Jonathan Bullard, huge fan of him out of Florida in the draft. I said the Bears ruined his career. No offense, but that's what happened. Same thing like Shea McClellan. He's out of position. Jonathan Bullard still has one of the fastest first steps that I've seen. He explodes off the ball, and that's after adding all that weight. He just does not fit in this scheme. He's not a two-gapper. He's not a run stuffer. This dude played defensive end in college his last year there. Not inside, 3-tech. He played D end and in a 4, even front. And so the guy is meant to penetrate. He's not meant to do what we're asking him to do. And he is just swallowed up against the run. Roy Robert Harrison, or Harris, we all got real excited about him last year. We were enamored with the length, the strength, the speed. He's not putting it together. I don't know if he's not going hard. We saw Bilal Nichols pass him up last year. He's just not there. I mean, I think as a run defender, that's not my first take with Harris. I think he's a dynamic pass rusher. But in that department, we haven't seen him do much. And in the department of the run game, he's just not good. And so it was sad to see. And so now I'm questioning our second level guys. Nick Williams, I think, is a nice pickup. Big, strong dude. Hasn't done much, kind of just a space eater. And then it's like, okay, well, what do we have after that? And so now with the D-line, I'm wondering, because look, as good as Roquan and Trevathan are, if you have Eddie Goldman or Akeem Hicks go down, it's going to be a problem. I mean, rotating is one thing, but if one of them couldn't play, it's going to be a problem that's going to affect our linebackers, and people are going to attack us in the run game. Now, Mack makes up for a lot of that, but then, Leonard Floyd, Aaron Lynch on the other side, I don't know. So I'm now no longer worrying so much about the secondary. I'm worrying about the D-line. Because the run game tonight was just on us, and I know they were like, well, this is the preseason. There's no stunting and slanting. You don't want to give anything away. BS. It's defense. There's nothing to give away. I mean, there's certain tendencies, but you can't really put a tendency out unless you're doing it consistently over like a bunch of games. So the idea that stunting and slanting is not in there in the preseason is silly. You can absolutely do that because every team, every defense is going to stunt and slant. You're not doing anything creative and new that other teams haven't done. And so, no, I think you like letting them play straight up just to see their talent level. So, yes, we're going to do different movement in the season, but that doesn't negate the fact that they weren't getting it done against the run. So that's where I'm at with the defense. Offensively, once again, I think I really like Alex Bars as a power player. I don't think he's particularly agile and can do any of the things that Cody Whitehair can do, but he can do a lot of things that Kyle Long can do as far as the power players. So I like that, but he's limited in his movement. Ted Larson was at center most of the game or in the first half. I really liked what he gave us. I thought he was solid at guard. I thought he looked real good at center. And I'm excited. I mean, I knew as a veteran he could be a nice backup, but I'm thinking Bars and Larson really are the two. Mustipher came in later, and the bad snap led to a safety. It's a 50-50. I mean, not a great snap, also not a good catch, but I don't think that negates what Mustipher does as a blocker. I still don't think he's top echelon, but for two undrafted guys, you can't ask for more. I think Harry Heaston is getting the most out of them. It would be hard for me to see them bring Larson, Bars, and Mustipher. I don't know if they do that. I wouldn't mind it because then you have a backup center ready to go, maybe Larson if you have to or if you want to. And then if Larson or if somebody else gets hurt, Larson can play a guard. Mustipher plays the center. Whatever. I mean, really, Bars and Larson should be all you need. But if you want to bring 3 interior linemen, I'm not against it. Maybe Mustipher makes a practice squad. I don't know. Tackles, look, Coward has gotten better, but he's not there. I mean, again, he even looked better than last game, but he's just not there. Clemens is long. He's always been long. He's strong, but he's not great either. I just don't know if we had a swing tackle that we used to. So that's something I worry about. Like, again, the interior lineman, I'm not as worried about. I was worried coming into the offseason. But I told you, Alex Bars is the guy I liked. And I'm glad we got him undrafted. Mustipher as well. I think they both bring something nice. Larson has been good. So interior, I'm not worried about, especially with Kyle Long's injuries. Tackle is what I'm worried about because our tackles aren't great. Bobby Massey, Charles Leno, above average. So if one of them goes down, we could take a huge dip. That's what I'm worried about. Everybody else, I mean, Javon Williams is good. You know, he looks fine, like him, Ridley, all those guys. It's not a whole bunch you really can show us right now. But I will tell you, Chase Daniel, I told y'all, man, look, he's a solid backup. People don't get caught up in this 100 or 0 society. Don't get caught up in the black or white society. Solid is fine. Some people were like, why are you doing a Chase Daniel video when I did his tape? Because he's our backup quarterback. That's important if Trubisky goes down. And I think he's solid. I think he's 100% solid. And I think this preseason, he shows he has nice command of the offense. He's not a world beater. He's not going to necessarily ever win us a game, but I think he's solid. Karif White, he's fast. I mean, he's quick. A lot of short area quickness, just like we expected. I really like him. But yeah, overall, not too much to really talk about offensively. Again, we didn't really score points to the end of the third quarter. The field goal, I don't care. I don't know if I mentioned it before. I don't care about the kickers. Like, everybody's trying to hype this thing up. I don't care. But we didn't really score points to the end of the third, and we were able to punch it in. But again, I think the O-line's a lot better off than I thought. So that's just kind of where I stand with everybody on the Bears. I'm trying to think if it's anybody else. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So anyway, go to the comment section. Let me know what you thought about the preseason game. What stood out to you? Share it around. Get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe, share it around. And remember, stay up and bear down.